Who is the best Majin Buu? Well, the community is spoken, and Mike from Laughingstock Media and myself will be answering you guys today, as we're going to be talking about all of the different rankings for this recent community response, and we're going to be having a fun conversation today. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So Mike from Laughingstock Media, in regards to who is the best Majin Buu, coming in fourth place is Grey Buu, also known as Evil Buu. What do you think about that, bro? And what do you think about Grey and Evil Buu as a character?
I mean, honestly, I think he's pretty underrated because I actually really like him. We barely got to see any of him, but from his introduction in the Dragon Ball Z section of the manga and the Dragon Ball Z anime, I really liked him. He looks like a cooler version of Fat Buu, to be honest. He's thinner, he's more lanky, he's taller, he's immediately getting straight up in Buu's face, saying that he's the real Buu, and he beats Buu. He gets the majority of the power when they split, and he straight up beats him. He blows, with his super breath, away Buu's candy beam, which turns Buu into a cookie, and he just straight up eats him, transforming into Super Buu. And I always liked him. I just think he looks really cool, and he kind of reminds me a little bit of Earthworm Jim. I mean, I don't know about you, but I think he kind of looks a little bit similar.
The cool thing about, Super Buu, we'll talk about him in a second, is because Super Buu is like literally the fusion of a fat Buu and a really skinny Buu. So it's like if you mix fat and skinny, you get muscular, which is weird. But the thing with Grey Evil Buu is I think he was in the series so little that it makes sense why the community would obviously put him so low down the list. And also the fact of the matter is, I mean, Grey Buu never really fought against the, obviously the Dragon Team, the Z Fighters, whatever you want to call them. And I think that pretty much factors in. He was barely in the series, and he never really fought, and we never really got to see him as a villain except for fighting another Majin Buu. So it makes sense why he was definitely the least popular on the list. But moving into the second least popular on the list would be Fat Buu. Now, when I think about Fat Buu, Mike, obviously he was originally a villain and now he's a good guy. I think a lot of times, especially amongst dub fans, he's very popular because of his voice and because of his childlike manners. He doesn't really care. He's just kind of like a naughty kid that you can kind of convince to do your things. Hey, Buu, fight for me and I'll give you chocolate or candy. Or, how like we see in the filler episodes near the end of the series how Bulma's talking to him like he's a child and he wants all that ice cream. So I think Fat Buu is known strictly for being immature, but he's not really known as a villain or like a particularly well-in-depth villain.
In terms of being a villain, Fat Buu is probably my least favorite Majin Buu. I actually like him more as a protagonist and as a supporting character than I do when he was a villain, which is really funny to say. Like, I enjoy how he's been used in the End of Z and in Dragon Ball Super a lot more than when he was just a villain fighting against Vegeta and fighting against Super Saiyan 3 Goku, because I never viewed him as really threatening except for like in a few scenes. Like, he was way too playful, he was way too ridiculous, way too different from what we'd seen prior, and that always, at least as a kid when I was first watching it, kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So in terms of being a villain, he's not my favorite by any stretch of the imagination, but in terms of being like a fun character and a protagonist who could, show off his interesting abilities, I kind of like him.
Yeah, and I think we gotta talk a little bit about appearance here, Mike, because let's be honest, I mean, Buu is literally like a big fat pink blob that looks like Patrick from SpongeBob. And I think that when you look at him, he doesn't really look like a menacing villain. Like Frieza and Cell and even Vegeta and Nappa and the Ginyu Force, with the exception of maybe like Jace. Like all of these characters kind of had like an intimidating presence towards them, and Buu just looks like a fat blob that you just want to punch and your hand turns into like gum because you punch him and it does absolutely nothing. Like, he's a silly ass looking villain, which I think helps his popularity and it makes him iconic.
Yeah, he's basically like if you made Jar Jar Binks the villain of the Star Wars prequels, and many people have already done that.
Right, now let's get into the two big ones here. So now we're moving on to Kid Buu. Kid Buu came in second place, and Growing up as a kid, especially playing a lot of the Budokai games and, you know, watching the Dragon Ball series, Kid Buu was very popular because he was like the complete antithesis of all the other Boos. He has like the least cerebral, you know, obviously the cerebral cognitive abilities of all the Majin Boos. He's the least intelligent. He's literally like a killing machine that doesn't give a fuck. So what do you think about Kid Buu going to second place?
Honestly, he would probably be my second place too if we're considering all the forms, especially considering who takes the number 1 slot. Kid Buu, I feel like, is certainly cool in terms of like the relative Buu transformations or forms. He's the pure one, the most dangerous one, the one that's completely out of control, but also the one who is playing around arguably the most as well, to where he just doesn't really care. He keeps going through, he keeps dragging out these fights. And overall, I feel like Kid Buu, it makes sense that he'd be in the second place because he's not even the strongest Buu. And I know that's going to be really controversial down below in the comments section, but he's not, and he is pretty much mindless. You know, that's one of the problems with Buu for most of his transformations, or most of what we see him. He's kind of a mindless character, so it's not really going to give Buu any more depth by making him even more mindless when you think about it.
The thing is, with Kid Buu, the cool thing about him is that you see Goku powering up into like Super Saiyan 3, going all out, and the anime made this, you know, a lot more, you know, obviously exaggerated than the manga. And you see like Goku and Vegeta and even Fat Buu and Hercule doing everything they can, and even B, the little dog, like doing everything in their power to stop him. And the crazy thing is, you see, you know, Goku and Vegeta just blasting the shit out of this guy, and he just keeps coming back over and over and over again, and it's like, you see Kid Buu laughing, like, this guy's being blasted in half, and he thinks it's funny. He was holding back a spirit bomb, and when he really needed to put his power together, he did. Now, let's get into Super Buu here, Mike. Super Buu won the poll, and I'm not surprised. I think it makes sense because Super Buu is the most fleshed out Buu because A, he fought the most characters. He was responsible for wiping out the entire planet's population, even though he didn't blow up the planet, you know, with the exception of the few survivors. And I think he had the most transformations, and last but not least, Super Buu was by far the most intelligent Majin Buu, so he was the most villain-like out of all of them, whereas the others were just naughty kids or just killing machines. So I can see why Super Buu won.
Yeah, I could definitely too. Not only does he inherit the powers of all of these characters that he absorbs over time. I mean, the Super Buu from the beginning is awesome. Just his introduction, he gets blasted by that Uzi or that, you know, machine gun, goes all straight through him, completely regenerates, and then he puts his body, like, inside of that dude and makes him completely explode in, like, a ridiculously gruesome death, and he vaporizes the other guy with a ki blast, and he just has more charisma, he has the intelligence, he gets powerful and powerful. Only a character as powerful as Vegito can stop him. Everyone else is really nothing by comparison. He screams a hole in the hyperbolic time chamber in that dimension.
He screams so fucking loud that he rips open a damn dimension, bro.
He's around for a very long time compared to some of the other Boos as well. He has a lot more dialogue, obviously, so I think he definitely takes the cake. I mean, he fought 3 of the main antagonists, or the main protagonists of this arc, that seemed like they were all being set up to take him down, and one by one he knocked them all down. So he absorbed them and gained their power, and he kept gaining their cool abilities and their cool clothes too. I mean, look at his Gotenks and then his Gohan outfit. He just takes their clothes. I don't know how that works, but whatever, it's Buu. Nobody knows how he works. It's magic. You don't have to explain anything. But he was definitely my favorite form of Buu, the most versatile one by far, so I could definitely see why he's number 1.
Right, and the thing is, Mike, what do you think about the whole element they added with him that they didn't have with the other Boos, where they actually went into his body and you kind of saw how, like, his system works inside there?
Yeah, that was really funny. I mean, in the manga, they kind of just go straight to the pods, but in the anime, it's funny to see, like, those living worms, and Vegeta is afraid of them, and that's Vegeta's weak point, that instead of Goku being afraid of needles, Vegeta is afraid of giant worms, I guess. Maybe they encountered them on another planet far, far away. But ultimately, I think it's, really a lot of fun that they go to extents. Like Goku having to block that steam blast with a Kamehameha when they're getting out. Just everything was really fun. Even seeing him, like, Buu bulk up to that, like, bulky Buu, which I guess you could still argue is a kind of Super Buu because it has absorptions within it, was really interesting as well. So, yeah, I mean, he's just a really cool aspect of Buu, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, and let's just be honest, Mike. I mean, out of all the Boos, he's definitely the most developed character because you see him, in his regular Super Buu state, who's not as intelligent as Piccolo, was like kind of tricking him, to, not want to fight Gotenks by like walking all around Kami's lookout. And then you see as he absorbs Piccolo and Gotenks and Gohan, he becomes a lot more intelligent. So I feel like Super Buu had the most development, and I think he's definitely the most intelligent. Like, I think the peak of the Buu saga to me, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Buu saga, but I think the best part of the Buu saga was when you saw Vegito fighting against Buuhan. I thought that was some of the best stuff because it's like a complete fusion where Buu's fusing all these characters into his body, and then Goku and Vegeta have to fuse, and I think that was just really great to see them going all out.
Absolutely, and I have a question for you as well, Kwame.
Sure.
Goku and Vegeta were stated to not be able to defeat Super Buu, just base, if they teamed up without fusion. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Well, do you think that Goku could have beaten Buuhan or Buu Tanks if he used chopsticks? Because Piccolo was absorbed into Buu.
I think this has been a fun conversation. Let us know in the comment section below which Buu you thought was the best. I think Super Buu is a landslide victory here. Even though, Kid Buu got a good amount of votes, I think he was definitely the most fleshed out Majin Buu. And as far as Gray Buu goes, I mean, he was barely in the series. And Fat Boo's annoying as fuck, especially with his dub voice. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please check out...
Buu turn you into candy! Blah!
The Buu saga was all about childish humor mixed with like serious moments, and it had its humor, but at the same time it was so silly and wacky at times. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please check out my bro Mike from Crying Stock Media. I'll make sure I leave a link to his channel in my description, and I hope you guys enjoyed. So with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And you remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.
Buu is nothing compared to me and my muscles.
Wait, but Harold, what do you think about Fat Boo's body?
Oh, don't even get me started on that fat blob. Fuck him. I'm so tired of him with all his jelly rolls. The guy looks like he ate 20 gajillion goddamn donuts. Put that cookie down, Buu. Now!
And what do you think about Gray Buu then? If you don't like fat guys, what do you think about Gray Buu?
He got too far. He looks like Matthew McConaughey mixed with Jared Leto from Dallas Buyers Club.
Too skinny?
Yeah, that's saying it. He's almost as thin as you.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye.